dog, he took a shower. Yes, oh, that is nice. So, and we are making a video together with my blue god in dog form and human form. So I have a rock here. This is an infinitely powerful healing rock that I just recently found on the beach, and I couldn't pass this up because this rock is very amazing, absolutely incredible. The way it's shaped, so ground up by the ocean, with a copper, I don't know, copper iron, with an iron spot here. Pretty amazing. Those are all natural pigmentations. Pretty amazing. Love it. I love this rock. It's an incredible color. It's like a, I don't know if this video shows this, but the color is like a purplish gray. Absolutely amazing. Infinite healing power for all living beings, equally much. And I want to review the perfume Dolce, which means sweet. Dolce is Italian, it means sweet. And that is done by Dolce and Gabbana, of course. Yes, Papa Dog, I know. It's amazing. Infinite healing, infinite power, infinite power, infinite healing, infinite healing power. This perfume is heavenly. It's absolute heaven. It's pink. It reminds me of the color pink. My artwork to come out of this better. So, this is better. Yes, Papa Dog, what is it? Papa Dog is bored. He was bored all day long. He took a shower and then he had a lot of energy. And he followed me everywhere I went with the broom. And I didn't want him to do this because then the dust from brooming the floor would get on him right after he'd taken a shower. That's not so good. But he was ready for action, so he was up for it. He was up for the broom. He was up for a challenge. He wanted to play, and he wanted to chase the broom and the tray and the rug sweeper and all of this. This perfume is heavenly, absolute heaven. It smells sweet as it promises. It smells pink. It smells a little bit like strawberry, a little bit like pear. White chocolate. Amazing, amazing smell. Some tree flowers, blossoms, and I think it has gardenia in it. And the reason why I come to that conclusion is because they used a gardenia shape as the lid of the perfume bottle. So it must have gardenia in it. And gardenia that grows in Italy, where Dolce and Gabbana are living. And it grows in LA also. And I picked some there from people's hedges. And they are amazing smelling. Smell very similar to this. It reminds me a little bit of Joy Dior. It's in the same family. It's amazing. What else does it have? A little bit green apple. A little bit caramel. Cherry blossom. Amazing, amazing perfume. It's heavenly. It makes you feel like you are loved. That's what they all do. They're all love. And then I made myself some. I made my own creations, and I had them on earlier today, and oh, I was in heaven. I love all of these heavenly creations. Amazingly sweet. Mouth watering. I think it has some peach in it as well. Absolutely amazing. So that is the scent. So if you have depression, Sarat and Ergun, and maybe Sarat is Ergun, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is. Remember, I'm a psychic. But it doesn't matter, It does not matter to me whether you hide or not hide. I see you anyway. So I highly recommend to Ergun and Sarat and Talik and Ishmaela and whatever all of these different people are. If you suffer from depression, and I know you all do, okay, get yourself this perfume. It will make you feel better. You don't have to wear it into the bar, and because maybe then the girls are thinking, oh, you have a girly scent. And that wouldn't even matter. I challenge you to do this. Why don't you just do this and see what happens? Give us a try. Act like there's nothing wrong. Act like you always act, You sit there in a bar, you talk to people, and see what happens. Maybe they like you more. I like men that have guts, that I love it. Absolutely. I feel safe around men like that have guts to be standing out or be a bit different or be dressed differently or smell differently than everyone else. So, or smell very sweet, I like that. I remember in Germany, I got my boyfriend there. I had a psychotic boyfriend. I got him a very feminine scent, very feminine perfume, and he liked it. Made him feel better, helped him much more than the medication. So I recommend this here, Dolce. It will sweeten up your life, literally. So I want to talk a little bit about also about the subject home wrecking. You know, I hear this a lot, and people use these kind of words indiscriminately, and they will just use this, and they don't think about it at all. They don't think about what it actually means and why are they using this word. They don't know that using this word is shedding responsibility only on one person, and they don't question the whole thing. So that's where I come in with these videos, because I point out these kind of things to people. I point out that I have to get myself a cushion. Hang on. I gotta get a cushion. So, got to get a cushion. Yes. This is much better. Yes. All right. Is this good? This is a perfect cushion. Wait. This is my cushion. I made that myself. There's a wonderful foam inside, and it has a nice cover that I also made myself, and I put this on my lap, and then I can put my pointy elbows on my legs like this without it pushing into my thigh muscles, because that kind of hurts. So we need to do things for ourselves to make our lives easier and better and more comfortable. It's very important. I have another one of those cushions to give me a lumbar support on my recliner chair, because for some reason they always design these chairs where it kind of dips in the middle. It should do the opposite. It should do a lumbar support in the middle, like a bulge out cushion that goes all the way down your spine, because the spinal cord, it needs that kind of support. You know, my spinal cord goes in a little bit, just as the Papa Dog's does. So, you know, I see people, they're very quick to say, oh, she's a home wrecker. Or rarely is that said about a man. That's another thing that I notice worldwide. But even if it was said about a man, you know, we're having a lopsided accusation. So, you know, when something goes wrong in terms of breach of loyalty to a romantic partner, then it usually has to do with both people. You know, it's not just one person. It's not just one person's fault. And, you know, why does this one person feel the need to hang out with someone else? Obviously, you know, it has to do with, you know, it's not committed, but the other person also must not be really offering much mental intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex or physicalities, but mental, you know, the mental intimacy. That is the most important thing there is, you know. All that other stuff, the cuddling and the reproductive actions and all of this, they come as a result out of feeling really comfortable with someone, really, really comfortable with someone. and at least this is the case for women, and so I'm speaking for myself with this. um, I feel much more comfortable with those kind of things if I really trust someone, if I feel like I'm not. I had an interesting dream last night about this also. Gosh, that was a heavy duty dream. I felt like I had I felt like I was somewhere and people were talking to me kind of close up, and the and they didn't like my breath. What a strange dream. And I guess I must have had a bad taste in my mouth or something. Something like garlic or something like that. I don't know. But I felt very, very, very insecure about, you know, physical closeness to another human. In this case, it was always a guy that was coming closer and talking to me closer. I don't know, some kind of physician or something, some kind of professional situation where they had to do something, a checkup or something. I forgot now what it exactly was, but that person ended up like being kind of like completely turned away from me, and he walked away and he never talked to me again. And I sat there and I felt this extreme feeling. This dream just represented my entire past, of my mother not feeling me, not loving me, not finding me cute. When I love someone, when I love a living being, when I really love a living being, I don't care if that living being has some kind of body odor or bad breath, or is farting, or has a lot of ear grease. Not at all. It doesn't bother me at all. Not at all. When Papa came to us, he smelled sick. It didn't bother me like it didn't bother me in this kind of way, that humans will turn away from someone. And I've even seen people talk about wet dog odor. To me, this is not an issue. I love dogs, I love their smell, and I love every cell, and I love every rancid grease that comes out of the pores, and I love that musky rancid smell, and I love it when they're wet, and I love the grease in the ears. I clean that out frequently. I'm just concerned about the ears being healthy, and when there's a lot of black grease in the ear, then obviously the grease is there to protect the ear sensitive ear skin on the inside. So it's there to trap any kind of pathogen and suffocate any kind of, if there's any kind of bacterium or parasitic kind of stuff that gets trapped, and it's a natural body function. So when there's a lot of that, then the ears could have something in it, or there could be some kind of stuff in it that should be gently wiped out, and for that I use my diatomaceous earth cream, and I still want to make a video on how to make this. I'm gonna make a video on where I start with the dog ear cream, because that's the most important thing. So when I love someone, I love everything about them. I don't care, I don't mind if there's a sick smell or something, or I'm just concerned, I can tell when the dog doesn't feel good, or when there's an immune struggling going on, when there's a sick smell. So it doesn't gross me out, you know, it doesn't make me turn away, or uh, it doesn't make me feel disgusted in any way. It's not offensive to my nose, not at all. I'm just concerned. When I smell this, I'm concerned. I know, okay, we need to do some healing work, and that's what we did. Now Papa Dog doesn't have that smell anymore. That sick, you know, I call it the split pea soup smell. They smell a little bit like split pea soup when there's the C word, and the people before us, they did everything wrong, but they didn't know. I'm not holding it against them. They did not know. They trust the physicians, and they would still do the same. They wouldn't listen to me because I'm not a Christian. And that's how people are, you know, and it's very irritating for me, to say the least. But that's how people are, you know. They go by, oh, I'm only going to the Christian doctor, or I'm only gonna listen to this person. I'm only gonna do this because that is being promoted by the Christian religion, and or the talk radio, you know, promoting the oil industry and their propaganda, and mixing that in with the Christian agenda and all of this. And so people were, it's this group, you know, this group think, you know, and taking sides with this. That's what I talked about before, you know. That's fascism again. They don't listen to the witchy lady. They don't listen to the natural person. They call them hippies. They call them eco environmentalists, liberals, libtards, and witch people. So it's very fascist to call people those names. I am not a liberal, and I don't take political party sides. I go by the actual person who has something to deliver, who has something to give, and that could be someone who happened to run under the Republican Party. It could be someone from the other party. It could be some independent person. It doesn't matter. I go by the actual person. That's what everyone should do. And then if everyone did that, we wouldn't need the party system anymore. But we have the party system because that is precisely how people are thinking. They're thinking in terms of group, of I group myself in this or in this or in this direction. So anyway, these people did everything wrong. They listened to talk radio, probably. They listened to their church members. They go to a veterinarian who's probably in the church or whatever, and the veterinarian is trained by the medical industry, by the corporate industry, the corporate agenda, and so on. And they don't know anything about natural healing. They also reject all of this and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So because of this, people won't even buy my book and so on. And maybe they will buy my book after I passed away in 50 years or something, if the book is still on the market, and if maybe then the royalties will go to my brother's daughter. So that could be too, and for that reason I leave that book on the market. So it doesn't matter when people will buy it. It doesn't matter if no one ever buys it. But all I know for sure is that book is a lifesaver. That could be a lifesaver for everyone out there and for the whole world, because I put in these, 100 pages, not that long. I put in the important information. I can make it longer. I can make part two. Constantly finding out more things, and we should all be doing this. Don't leave this up to one person or just a few. You should all be researching these things on your own, not relying on what other people say. You need to put these things to the test. One thing is for sure, that taking out a tumor causes metastases. Not a good idea, okay? So we, after he has gotten the metastases, now he has like 10 tumors growing, but the clay, the bentonite clay, I put that on, the bentonite clay is healing up those tumors. I put them on outside, and I also give him bentonite clay, and that is healing up the tumors. That's healing, that even loosened up the tumors. So when the tumor is loose, it is benign. It is not an aggressive tumor. It's not a cancerous tumor. It's just a growth, but it's related to this, of course. The body should be eliminating it, but body is overwhelmed, and that's when these things, have their unobstructed growing, because the immune system doesn't detect it. So that's why the immune system, this is all an immune problem. Okay, that's all it is. If the immune system works well, then these things don't happen. Okay, so it is the root of the iceberg, as we call it. That's the most important thing, that we tackle that we address the well-being of the entire being. I swayed off, but this is all important information, very, very important information, to treat a dog with clay, with bentonite clay, instead of having the dog having these things cut out. So don't do this, okay? Don't do it. When we had Samantha, we didn't do anything. I didn't know about the clay, but I knew about the metastases. So we didn't do anything. Because we didn't do anything, she got to live another 3 years in happiness. So before the tumor caused real bad problems. It is because we did other things right. We cuddled with her, we went hiking, we went traveling with her, and so on. So she got a good life, and was even 11 years old for a Great Dane. She had a quarter Labrador in her. So, but she was very large, and for such a large dog, 11 years is that is a good lifespan already. And she had a good life, most of it. Ludwig, the other Great Dane, who died in 2004 in LA before we went on the journey. He was 11 and a half. He was a pureblood Great Dane. That's pretty long. So he didn't treat her very well. So that was very unfortunate. So yeah, dogs, they all have their individual characters and their souls, and some of the souls are not that old, and so it's all a learning journey. Ludwig was a criminal. Ludwig was a murderer. Yes, yeah, he has corpses in his cellar. So he has murdered a cat, kittens, and a chihuahua. It was awful, terrible, very awful, and it was too late. We couldn't step in at the right time to rescue that other being. So awful, terribly sad. We had to be very careful with him. And he was mean to Samantha. And all of this is not good for the immune system. All the stress and all of this, she wanted to love him, and he was mean to her, growled at her, bit her several times. Not good. So, but we always made sure to give the dogs infinite love, and that helped Ludwig too. He actually, towards the end of his life, all that love helped him to go within himself and realize what really matters, and that love is what really matters. And with that, he was able, at the end of his life, I think upon our last hike together, where I sat with him when he couldn't walk anymore. I sat with him for about an hour on the hiking trail out there in Ojai, California. And he appreciated that so much. And that's when he became a student of life. Before that, he was a stagnator. So he became a student of life. And so we go from one step to another. The only way we learn is through infinite love and not punishment. Punishing someone who is mean is pushing him further into his act outs. He's just mean. It's a misunderstanding. The ego is just trying to protect him. He's mean for different reasons, because he is not attuned to the other beings, or he's jealous, or he's entitled, or he's whatever, whatever it is. So it's all learning journey. So when I smell Papa Dog, whatever Papa Dog, smells like, even if he rolls into cat mess or raccoon mess, which is not fun, of course, it does not smell good, but I'm not going to be grossed out. Papa Dog actually helps me with my OCD. I have OCD real bad, mental illness. I do avoidance. I have to wash everything real thoroughly. So I can't wash Papa Dog every time we take him shopping or going hiking and people pet him. So I can wipe him with a wet towel. That's all I can do. So he's helping me with the OCD. He's helping me to cope with this better. So because I love him so much, no matter what kind of particles he has on him, if he stepped in on a cigarette butt, or if some dirty homeless person with dirty hands petted him, and I can't refuse that to someone when they want to pet the Papa Dog. That would be so cruel. I couldn't do this. A homeless person who's already feeling super low and super unloved, that's a little bit of love that he would get, is to meet a dog once in a while who does not reject him, and who he feels like he wants to get in touch with, literally. He wants to pet the dog, to be in this contact. And I can't refuse someone that. So we go home, I wipe the Papa Dog, wipey, wipey, petty, petty. That's what I always say. And so I stretch myself with this psychologically. It's a wonderful thing. And it happens through love. And I also wipe him very good on the mouth too, and the whole body when he has any kind of raccoon or cat mess smell on him. So, and I make sure to clean the garden up frequently so that this doesn't happen. If we had a dome house, this wouldn't be happening, because the dome would be shielding us from any other being that is roaming around out there. So, but now we have deer come in and they poop and he eats that. It's not good. So, but we try to make the best out of it. The most important thing is love, and when you really love someone, you are not grossed out by that other living being. And humans, they're very easily grossed out about each other, and they don't like each other's breath. And I have this terrible insecurity within myself. If I would ever socialize with anyone or sit next to someone, I would have to be chewing a gum. It wouldn't work any other way. So, and because I feel so insecure, about this, and insecure about different things. Also, when I had boyfriends, I felt insecure about my belly. I felt like my belly was kind of hanging down or something. and they would touch my belly, and I felt really bad about it and insecure, those kind of things. Or feeling bad about farting. You know, I don't have to feel any of this with the papa dog. And so the papa dog and I, that is the most intimate contact. And so, you know, my former dog Kenny and I had to edit these things out because I know what kind of fuss people make about these. And it's all because of fascism and religion. They make a fuss about a woman French kissing with a dog. And my former dog Kenny, he was a French kisser. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, you know. That's why I thought I was going to go mad. I was going to go completely insane when he died, you know. I thought I wasn't going to survive that, because he was my everything, you know. He was my mother, my father, my lover, my husband, my child, my everything. He was my blue god. He is the blue god in living form, you know. That's what I always said. And I have one particular video. I think that video is called "The Buddha Had Something to Say," in which he and I will send you the link, Sandy. You have to watch that. This is very amazing. It's on my love list. You can also see it there. My love list is on YouTube. Love list of collected videos from different people, including some of my own videos on my dormant channel. So this is on the dormant channel. I have several dormant channels that I'm not using anymore. I only use this one now. Nicki Loves Dogs. So, but I have this video of Kenny and I sitting on the couch, and he was French kissing me, and it was the sweetest thing. And those videos I did with a kid camera that I plugged into my Microsoft computer, and I had an editing program, the simple editing program. And I was still editing. I wasn't doing this. I didn't have the tablets yet. So with the tablets, I don't know how to edit. Maybe there's a way to do it. I don't know. But I had to edit the French kissing out because they made such a fuss about bestiality. They call it bestiality. What a horrible word, you know. What a horrible, what a backwards, 300 years backwards Christian religion, Abrahamic religion bullshit. You know, oh my goodness. So, you know, and this wasn't sexual, you know, it wasn't sexual, but it would be laid out as this, and I didn't want to take the chance of getting arrested or something, you know? So I didn't want to have the video out there and then getting haters and all of this. And I know people are, you know, I should not have edited that out. That was wrong. I should have left it, because it was lovely the way he was French kissing me. And it was not sexual at all. It was just pure love, real physical embrace and love and connection. You know, real love, not sexual. And I don't feel sexual with an animal, but I don't judge people who are. You know, I would never judge that if someone, as long as it's a mutual agreement and as long as the animal enjoys herself or himself, then, you know, there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. I personally don't feel sexual feelings for an animal, but again, I don't judge other people who do. But I totally understand why some people are just intimate on every level with an animal. Like there's this one guy, he had ponies and that seemed to be a physically compatible situation. And you know, as long as the pony enjoys herself, you know, then there's nothing wrong with it. And This subject makes me cry because I know how people easily hate in all of this and how they hate it. I mean, it was on the Jerry Springer show, and they actually didn't show that they had this show that happened with an audience and everything, but they actually didn't make it public because they figured it was too controversial. So he had a pony that they brought the pony in onto the stage, and it was heartbreaking to see the audience go into hysterical, mean, ice cold laughter. Oh my gosh, the ice coldness in the world. And that's because of fascism and religion. You know, the ice coldness, the extreme intolerance towards someone who is different, who loves in a different way, who loves a different being. Oh, God. I don't even know what to say to this. It made me shiver, the audience, the way they were laughing at that guy, and they were laughing at the pony. He shouldn't even have gone there. That was a mistake. He should not have gone to the Jerry Springer show. I would never go to the Jerry Springer show for anything. Okay? And also, Jerry Springer was also laughing in a real cold and mean way. How awful. How painful to see that. I expect a little bit more from Jerry Springer, but he's just like the people in the audience. He is fascist, and he's probably religious, and he discriminates against someone who's different. So very sad is this. And my advice to Jerry Springer, anyone out there in the audience or anyone in the world, you know, some people are different, and some people who bravely live that different lifestyle, they should be embraced, they should be respected for that, instead of shunned, instead of mocked and bullied. Someone who has the guts to be who they are, to be different, to have a different way of loving different beings, you know, gay men loving each other, gay women loving each other, a man loving a pony, you know. As long as as long as it feels good to both, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's love. It's, you know, they feel safe. Might feel sexual to them. So, okay, then let them enjoy themselves with this. That's all I have to say to this. And I must say, when I watch like romance films, oh gosh, particularly like romantic kind of movies, you know, where man and woman fall in love, and then they kiss, and they show the way they kiss and all of this, you know, French kissing and all of this. Actually, I find that very unappealing, you know. I find it way more appealing, my French kissing that I did with Kenny. Way more appealing, way cuter and funnier and lovelier. Way, way lovelier. So I actually came to this point, like, kind of like, once you have seen real and experienced real love, you can't go back anymore. And again, not for me, it wasn't in a sexual way. You know, I have kissed with my ex-boyfriends and stuff like this. We have kissed. I used to kiss Paul, and French kiss Paul, and all of this. We don't do this anymore. I haven't kissed a man in a very long time, and you know, I don't really feel like it. anymore. I don't feel like it anymore. I'm not. I also kissed women, but only to try this out, because they wanted to. And it's always nicer to kiss a person with afro lips. So because I personally find the afro lips better feeling and prettier. So, and that wasn't sexual for me, kissing my black girlfriend. Um, for her it was because she is bisexual. I am not. Okay. So, and I kissed a white woman, French kissed with her. We did hickeys on our breasts and all of this. But it was a teenage type of thing. So it wasn't sexual for me. It was sexual for her because she's bisexual. So, but this is something that I didn't do again and later on, and it's also nothing wrong with it if people do this, and if people do feel sexual, it's nothing wrong with it. So then I did French kissing with men, and it didn't feel good with the white man. It felt much better French kissing with a black man because of the pouty lips. And I'm just laying it all out the way I really feel about it. And this is also biologically correct because we do feel more attracted to someone who is different to us genetically, feel sexually more attracted. To me, French kissing, actually, the process of that is an intimacy thing. To me, this is not a sexual thing. Also, if I French kiss a man with beautiful pouty lips and all of this, to me, that is not, it feels more sexual than with the woman, of course. But to me, the French kissing itself is not a sexual activity. But if I would French kiss with Vin Diesel, it would probably make me feel something in that way and on every level. So very much, I would be very much in love, and it's okay if I don't have it. I don't have to have it. I'm just saying this is how I would feel. So, but French kissing with my dog is infinitely more precious, and it's not sexual, and it's infinitely more intimate and connective, and wholesome. So the wholesome physical connection. And people always put shame into, and they always interpret sexuality into this. Even my name, Nicki Loves Dogs, I can't count it anymore how many men have accused me of having sex with dogs just because of that channel name. So that says a lot about the people, doesn't it? It says about the people that the only way they can imagine love is if they imagine sex. So to them, that is kind of like one and the same thing. To me, it is definitely not. Okay. And to me, intimacy is intimacy, and that's love. That's not automatically sex. Okay. And I've always wondered about this, when I was a teenager. I already knew that there was something kind of wrong, that I didn't feel love for my boyfriend, and that I couldn't combine the sexual love, the sexual needs, with the real love. I talked to my parents about this briefly, and they just dismissed it. Also because their egos don't want to get into the causality of that, because they probably already have a little bit of a some kind of faint idea that maybe it has something to do with the way I grew up as a child. So not in a way that my parents did anything deliberately or particularly wrong, but in a way of not seeing me, not feeling me, not having this real intimacy, not being the bear mother for me, So that left me split emotionally. So then I can't connect that at all. I cannot connect a sexual thing with a physical, mental intimacy and love. It's very sad. So so just once you've experienced real love, you feel like you don't ever want to try that other dating crap, as I call it, the bar stuff and the quick dating stuff and all of. I don't even want to experience this at all anymore. I mean, if I ever experience romance, it would have to be someone like Vin Diesel, or someone, a man who is making me feel really loved and not feel like I have bad breath and they would have to turn away from me like in the dream. So, if someone, I mean, Paul and I are not together. So if Paul would date his dentist, for example, dentist lady, I would be worried for him because of who she is. She's a Muslim, so I'll be worried for him, to say the truth, because Muslims they're very fascist, okay, and Paul loves dogs and animals, and he likes hiking in nature and all of this, so that I don't think that would be very compatible. But apparently he keeps talking about her and all of this, and she puts her legs against him. But if he did leave me, I leave this roommate type of situation and went with her and lived with her, okay, that would, if that's what he wants, I just want him to be happy. So I don't know if I can function on my own, having to pay plumbers and electricians. That would really be difficult, to say the least. So, and because of this, I probably couldn't be a homeowner on my own. It takes a lot of expertise to be a homeowner and keep your money together at the same time. Also have to pay property tax and all of these things, So people think that's so easy to have a home, to buy a home. No, it's not. It's like a full-time job also. You have to do repairs, and you have to know what you're doing. You need to know the law and all of these kind of things. So I don't know if I could function with someone. So I'd be a little worried for myself in terms of economics. But if he wants to have that woman, I would never call her a home wrecker. Okay? Because obviously we're not even together. But if that happens to someone else and they are together with someone and he goes out with the dentist, then I would not blame the dentist. I wouldn't say, oh, it's all the dentist's fault. She's a home wrecker. And they call, whatever they call people. They call all kinds of names, to shed away their responsibility. They all call her whore and slut and all of this. And here she's just a living being like everyone else who feels the need the urge to mate, and that's all completely normal. And they like to have someone who's different to themselves genetically, and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so I'd never call someone a home wrecker for that reason. That word is going into the recycling bin. Okay, so if someone wants to date someone, then okay, there's nothing wrong with it. And I also don't believe that humans are capable of a monogamous relationship. So I believe in friendship. I believe in real close friendship. That to me is real intimacy. When I can go back to someone and fall into his arms, even though he has his other girlfriend or whatever, but we're staying friends, and there's this bond, and a fatherly bond, a motherly bond, whatever you want to call it, a close bond. That is what matters. That's more important than anything else. To me, the friendship is what's the most important thing. Feeling safe with someone, with another living being, knowing they're not going to judge you for your bad breath or your farts or sweaty forehead or whatever, or sweaty hands. Some people are embarrassed about sweaty hands. I get sweaty hands when I'm nervous. So what? I will still shake someone's hand with my fully sweaty hands with sweat beads on it. I'll shake their hand. Yeah, here you go. I got some sweat for you. Ho, ho, ho. I don't care. I don't care if they look funny or whatever. So I'd never operate my sweat glands out of my hands. That'd be bullshit to do. I've seen all of this on the internet already. It's just the insanity is endless out there. And that's why I make these videos, to bring some reality into the picture. Some fact checks and some biology information on who we actually are and what our needs are and what we want. And when I was a teenager, I would fall in love with the guy, and then I would be devastated if he doesn't call. All of this I've grown out of. I know now, and Jiddu Krishnamurti helped me more than anyone else in my life, because he taught me that I have to embrace the now fully. This is the now moment. I'm sitting here with my elbows on the cushion, making a video, holding this rock, my artwork behind me, talking to you, and this is a now moment, and it is very precious. And I need to remind myself of breathing, deeply breathing. It feels good to deeply breathe. And I'm not sitting straight because I'm holding the rock like this, but that's okay. Embracing the now. I don't have boyfriend. I'm alone. I'm alone in a sexual way. So, and maybe I will be for the rest of my life. And you know what? It's not a big deal. It's okay. It's sad. It's sad sometimes. I cry. I have these dreams of being rejected. And in my dream, I cried real deeply about that rejection. I cried so deeply. I cried like a wolf to the moon. I cried my guts out. I howled to the sky in that loneliness. And that's okay. It's the now moment. and I embrace it 100%. Isn't that great? That's wonderful. And that's how we grow. And that is how we heal also, you know. So you guys take care.